Hello, boys and girls, no matter where in the world you might be. Welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. I truly believe that in the last 10 days, we have seen the strength and depth of this Arsenal Football Club. Here we go.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to another live edition of the Highbury Squad. We're going to start here today, and where we should. The legend that is Maria Petri, to everyone with Super Parlour, with the FA Cup. I know how much this meant to her the day that he came over with the cup and she was able to celebrate this moment with him and with the Arsenal nation. And joining me for a lot of discussion about our beautiful football club that I believe that we have seen just truly shine over the last few days is my podcast brother from another mother, Mr. Super Kevin Campbell.
Hi, Soph. How you doing? Gooners, squaddies, everybody watching or going to be watching after. At ease, squaddies. At ease. And let's get into Monday Madness.
So, Super Kev, you rightly say there's many who'll be listening on replay. And if you're listening on iTunes and Spotify and Acast, welcome to the show. To our regulars in chat, welcome to you. Kev, we are planning a special tribute show to Maria because when the season starts, the club will be doing a few things. And, sorry, I just wanted to get your take on Maria, because I'm pretty sure you heard her yell at you when you were playing at Highbury. And I wanted to start here first today before we get stuck into football and all of the other good stuff.
Sophie, I'm going to take you back to 1977, my first ever game at Highbury. And I heard her chant. And you know when you hear the chant, it's a woman's voice. It's not a man's voice. It's a woman's voice. Come on, you Gunners, you know. And I was like, wow. And it's only over time where I realized who it was. And here's the funny thing. It was at London Colney. I was 15 years old in a youth team game. I was on the bench and I heard Maria say, "Come on, you Gunners." And I was on the bench and I said, that's the same shout. And it was Maria. She came to the youth team. She came to the reserves. She came to the first team. She was everything that Arsenal is. She was dignified. She was consistent. She had quality. She had class. And she loved her football club. Look, there's more superlatives you could use. She loved the women's game, the women's team as well. She was just such a, you know, we talk about super fan. She was the ultimate fan, Sophie. That's what she was. She was the ultimate fan. And everybody, and I mean everybody back then, when I was coming through, everybody had a hug and love for her. All the team, from first team when I was a youngster cleaning boot, all the first team had such admiration for her because she was, Demsek, you're right. She was the heart and soul of the club. You know, the first time I went, I was 7 years old. I didn't see her for 8 years later. And as soon as that distinctive voice of what she said just hit home. She is a proper legend of Arsenal. And you know what? It really touched me to see in Orlando before the Chelsea game, them pay a little tribute to Maria. It was special, real special.
Great anecdotes, Kev, and such a. I remember when as So I'm Greek and she's Greek. And when we were growing up, Greek women weren't supposed to go to football, Kev. You know that. You know our community. Yeah. You've got a lot of Greek friends. Yeah. And you understand what that means. And so when she did get the opportunity, she literally broke out. And I don't know if a lot of people know, but by the way, guys, we're going to do a special tribute show to Maria where we'll get into a lot more of her life. I don't know if a lot of you know that she was a teacher. She has a bunch of students who she inspired over the years. She wasn't allowed to go to games when she was younger, but when she did, you know, that was it. And what she taught me was, and Kev has taught me, is as critical as I can be of performances, a manager and a club and players. You know, dogs love you unconditionally, right? Maria loved the Arsenal, Kev, unconditionally. Under 23s, academy, women, men's, she loved the Arsenal. And my hair's going up right now because I think it was the Arsenal women or the club that put out a quote, and it was her quote where she said, "When I die, I'm just going to be upset that I can't watch the Arsenal anymore."
She's with listen, she's with us. She's with us all, Soph, because she left a little bit of herself with us. That's the truth. She did. She impacted everybody she met.
She did. And as a young Greek woman growing up, like, I remember being told, like, you can't go to the football. You can't talk about football. What do you know about football? And it was Maria that gave women a voice, and a lot of women like Maria who gave women a voice to talk about football and be respected about their opinion about football. And Jack Stevenson, who you know and is a total gooner and a very special man, introduced us a few years ago. And from then on, it was just like I used to have these conversations with her and WhatsApping, and, you know, she told me about her struggles about, you know, early on not being able to have a voice and stuff. And she broke through all those barriers, Kev. And when she did, she came after you. She came after every single one of you. But in a way, though, in a game versus, okay, how we may criticize people. Come on, Kevin. Like I had a phone call with her once, and she, because
it was a kick up the backside, like, you know, but in a nice way.
Yeah. And she, because we were always trying to do a show, and, you know, towards the last few years of her life, of course, it was harder for her, right? And I said to her, you know, no worries and stuff like that. And then she goes, "You tell Kevin." She goes, "I used to say to him," and I'm like, "Say to him what?" And she's like just bellowing from her seat at Highbury. Yeah. And she always loved it, and she was looking forward to, you know, talking to you and us and coming on and stuff, Kev. So I know. So
hence why sometimes when we finish the show, we say, you know, tell your loved ones you love them. Tell people you care for that you care for them, because sometimes you never get the opportunity. Like, we didn't really get the opportunity to bring her on, did we? You know, so
no,
that's a shame for us.
Yeah, it is. And I know, and you say that, and people don't know sometimes what's happening in your life or my life. And just know that maybe we don't tell you everything or we don't share, but just know that we're humans like everyone, and we have experiences. In the last year, we've definitely had those, you know, we've loved, we've lost. And here on the Highbury Squad, we always talk very candidly, openly and honestly about life. And Kev's message now, because of something obviously significant that has happened to him, but you might not know about, tells you all the time, tell your loved ones you love them and tell them why. Right, Kev?
100%, 100%. You know, the saying goes, this life's too short. Actually, you could spin that and say, you've got the time to make the call. You've got the time to tell people you love them. Sometimes we just don't take it, but do it. Take it. Trust me.
Yeah,
because
we don't.
you kick yourself if you don't do it, and those people like, Maria or whatever family member is no longer with us.
Exactly. And Harry, welcome to the show, bro. She definitely is the definition of that. She made me a better fan, I feel like she made me a better fan and made me understand a little bit more about, you do a show, you can be critical. That's your role. That's your job. You talk about a game, but your love for the club is eternal. And Maria is a perfect example, Kev, of players come and go, but the fans at the core are the lifeline and the bloodline of the club.
Oxygen.
Yeah.
Oxygen. Without oxygen, we are no more.
Yeah.
She was oxygen. And I tell you what, she made a lot of us better players back then. And I'm being very serious, Sophie. I'm being really serious, because when you've got somebody pushing you but encouraging you, that's a difference to digging you out.
Explain that to everyone, Kev.
Because to keep telling somebody you can't do this, you can't do that, is negative. But when somebody tells you, come on, you can do it, keep going, don't let your head drop, that's positive. So if that's somebody really getting behind you and kicking you in the seat of your pants to propel you forward. And she done that to all of us in that youth team coming through. I can tell you, and I can vouch for all of my teammates, because we often spoke about her on the coach. Because we're on the coach of London Colney. Where you got to remember, we're at London Colney playing in the Southeast counties. Mm-hmm. And then when we finish, we have to shower and then have a bite to eat, and then we head back to Highbury. We go back and we sit in the paddock. We get back for the first team game. Then you can hear, come on, you can hear Maria there. And we're like, it's a match. She got about, she traveled, she supported, as you said, Sophie, she supported unconditionally. But she made a lot of those youngsters then better. She made me better.
I don't know if you guys know, she did an interview, and I'll share it with you guys when we do the tribute show, but she did an interview with the Barigi Agir, which is the Cypriot newspaper in London, which goes out to probably 200,000 or 300,000 subscribers. And, she talked about being a fan, growing up, being a Greek girl. And I think this is why early on I attached myself to Maria and her journey, right, Kev? She went to China. She went to China and Australia to just watch the team. And what we're seeing now, this swell that we've seen here in the United States on this tour, previous tours you've been on that you've talked to us about, those old best 11s, the Independientes, the Miami, that whole, right, Kev?
Yeah, I mean, that was 88, that was 1990.
Yeah. Was it 89?
89, 90.
90, yeah. Yeah.
So it was 89. But 89, we were in America. And what I'm seeing now, so, of course, there's some foundations being laid then. But what I'm seeing now blew me away, honestly.
Blew you away. And I think Maria would be so, so proud of what she saw, of our fans, across the world, in the United States. I know that she would be loving this guy and loving all of what we've seen over the last few weeks, which is a good segue. Before I do that, if you want to be part of Maria's special show that we're going to do when the season starts, so we know what the club are doing as well, so we can mesh into that, please email us, thehighburysquad@gmail.com, thehighburysquad@gmail.com. And if you have anecdotes or pictures, or you met her or even had a conversation with her, let us know.
Yeah, or even just heard her before every game. You heard her. It was like, There you go.
I feel like there's a come on you Gunners something that's going to come, Super Kev. 350 of you in live chat. Welcome this Monday. Super Kev, pre-season football, as the man that takes us into the dressing room and behind the white lines. You beat a rival the way you did in pre-season. What are the players saying in the dressing room, Kev? Should we be taking stock of this? Is it just a moment of, okay, we're on the right path. We've all come together. It's a confidence booster. Don't get too excited. I'm trying not to get too excited, Kev. Take me into the player's mind of a result like that and a moment like that.
Look, we played Chelsea back end of last season and we beat them at Stamford Bridge 4-2. Eddie performed that day. We had a really good day that day. And we know how it finished, Sophie. And do you remember we had a show and we talked about when you don't achieve your goals, it through the pain, that's got to propel you forward. That's what's got to focus you. I.e., 88, losing to Luton, propelled the team for 89. Sometimes it's the best thing to ever happen. Now you could see a focus in the team, and you could see they've bought well, Sophie. They've bought well. But when we break it down, Sophie, here's the important thing. The first games, you play Everton and you win those, and you win them convincingly. But everybody knows, you see Jesus doing this, you see Saliba looking like a Bentley, everything's looking okay. Then what do people say? The big test is Chelsea.
Yeah.
That's the big test. So, okay, Chelsea come. And we open up a can of whoop-ass on them and we take them down big time. We're not getting carried away, but let's be honest. It shows that we are more focused and we have more of a complete team right now than they do. Because they lack some things that we had. Right?
Even their manager said it, Kev.
Yeah.
Right? So Tuchel, I thought some people were calling him a crybaby in the press conference. And I'm like, no, Conte's interview towards the beginning of this year was a crybaby. Tuchel was being blatantly honest. We just got whooped by a team that's not even in the Champions League, that's supposed to be behind us, but yet they seem so ahead of us. You know, Sterling, you would say, okay, fine, this is just pre-season, Kev. But that 45 minutes in the first half against them, especially, I thought that's going to be our team. Barring, is it a Tomiyasu? Is it going to be a Ben White? What's going to happen in the midfield? But that felt like the closest to the team that's going to start against Crystal Palace. And I feel like if they had spanked us 4-0, they would have ripped us to shreds, wouldn't they, Kev?
Oh, everybody would have taken our head off. They would have decapitated us. You're spending money and look, it's not bearing any fruit. Look, you know, sack Arteta. You could imagine, hey, Sophie, you could imagine what they would say about us. You know, your midfield's crap. This is rubbish. You know, they would have just panned us. But when it's the other way, it's like, calm down, it's only pre-season. No, we enjoy the win. It's against a rival in America. Both, by the way, both support in the stadium was incredible. Got to say that. All the support was incredible. Arsenal were a little bit better, but come on. But the support for the Premier League teams has been incredible in America.
Yeah.
But this game, Sophie, is a prove-it game. And in the dressing room, I could imagine Mikel Arteta is saying, listen, this is where we lay down a marker. Because not only, Sophie, are Chelsea watching, everybody else are watching. Everybody else are watching. Let's see how Arsenal get on. You know, Arsenal have bought these, but let's see how they get on against Chelsea. And some people obviously didn't stay up to watch it or whatever. 4-0 You can imagine people waking up the next day, going and checking. Let me see what the score was. 4-0.
Yeah. Against
That's significant. And it's not the first game of pre-season, like Man United against Liverpool. We're 2 weeks away from the start of the season. And I know a lot could change in that space. But we're talking about the here and now. It's about markers, Sophie. We've got to lay down a marker. The team, all the work they're doing, and the players that are coming in have to know we're getting better. Because that's why they're in. We've got to get better as a squad and as a team and as a football club. And it looks as though we are going in the right direction right now.
So, Kev, you're talking about that marker. That marker that you're talking about, can you just define it for me a little bit? Is it the players for themselves, the club,
Everything.
and then also to the fans?
It's everything. When you lay down a marker, Soph, the marker is for the players to know in their head, we can go up against Chelsea and we can beat them. Knowing it is important. Thinking it is one thing. Knowing it is different. That's what the marker does. The fan base know now, new players integrated. Zinchenko comes in first game, plays a half. It's sensational. Absolute quality. Come from nowhere. Straight away, looked as though we'd been playing at Arsenal for 5 years. So didn't look one thing out of place. Didn't look anything poor. Ben White played at right back. Had no problems there, Sophie. And do you know what, Sophie? We don't need our right back to be spectacular. We need him to be functional. Do your job. That's all we need, because we've got enough firepower and we're getting enough firepower from the midfield and the forwards to say we can win games. So,
okay. So let's kind of take a step forward and back, because this tour, and we're going to have Tiffany on from Arsenal America later on this week, where we wrap up the entire tour together. As you've seen, we've had Aston on, we've spoken to the Charm City Baltimore Gooners, we've had the Orlando Gooners on, we've been talking to Magic Mike as well. It's been really quite a special tour. I've been on most of the tours. Unfortunately, due to family reasons, I couldn't be on this tour, but I was very connected to everybody in the Arsenal America group as everything was unfolding. Kev, can we just start at, Chelsea are a big club, but I think on this tour, we just reiterated once again, and if you can explain it to everybody, especially as a player who's been and worn the shirt, to me, once again, I saw, wow, we're such a big club. We might not be doing big things, but look at what we did over the last however long. Look at the appetite for the love of the Arsenal America group, with all their branches from Nebraska to Chicago to Baltimore to Orlando to New York to Los Angeles. I mean, it's vast, it's big. We've seen all the tours. I truly feel like we made the most noise of any fans this pre-season.
I agree, and I think it's growing. I think the players really embraced it and enjoyed it as well. I think it was really good and smart, the kit launch out there and the way they done it, the way they use Aston and, little isn't it earn and stuff. I thought that was smart, really, really cleverly done. And I think that the Arsenal fan base after this is going to grow, because I could tell you this much. One thing about our cousins over the pond, they love winners. That's what they love. They love winners. And to go over their pre-season and win the games and, beat a rival like Chelsea, because let's be honest, player for player, we know where Chelsea finished. Chelsea are a Champions League team. And this is why this has to be a marker. Arsenal want to get there and beyond. This is what we do. We've been there before. So when we play them, you've got to be beaten. And this is some of the criticism, Sophie, of Arsenal. We don't beat the top 6 enough. So the team have to believe they can win. They have to show they can win, and they have to execute it. And I know this is only pre-season, but you know what, Sophie? As you quite rightly said, if we lost the game 4-0, it will be kind of back to the drawing board. But there is no back to the drawing board. We're seeing players come in and make us better straight away, which is a good sign.
Okay, so by the way, guys, next Monday we're going to have a mega pre-season show. Kev and I are going to give you our predictions, and we're going to have some friendly faces on board to help us. Let's just say that someone who likes sunglasses might be joining us. We're going to have the cast of all casts, and we're all going to lay down the markers. Plus, there's going to be a couple of bold predictions as well. But Kev, you bring up a great point, and I wanted to circle back to a player who I never thought would put on an Arsenal shirt. I didn't think that he would come back. I don't know. Hold on. Talk about loss of saliva. Kev, thanks Gunner Balls for lending me this image as well. My goodness, I know it's only been pre-season. We did play against Chelsea. The proof will be in the pudding in the Premier League. But hello, tell me how you can see that a player's a player, even if he's playing on the Hackney Marshes, Kev.
Sophie, you can see effortlessly. He plays beside Gabriel effortlessly. It looks like they've been playing together for years already. And you know what, Sophie? Was it the Orlando game where he came off the bench?
Mm-hmm.
Just shut everything down. Second half, it was just easy. And I really think he needed that extra year at Marseille last season. So I'll tell you why I believe he needed it. One, he needed to prove he could, under the pressure. Marseille are a big club. Not quite Arsenal, but they're a big club. He can play under those conditions. He can thrive under those conditions. He can perform under those conditions. He can then play in Europe. He can play against Mbappe and your Messis and all that. He can play against some of the best talent. He can get in the French national side, Sophie. And number 7, which is probably the most important, his confidence will just go through the roof. His confidence, you could see his confidence is just there. And SMG, you're right. I said this on. I spoke to Dan Potsy yesterday on Leeds TV. I said, I don't want to say he's VVD because he's not VVD at the moment. But if VVD's the Rolls Royce, he's got to be a Bentley right now. He's got to be, because he's smooth, he's unflustered, he's got the speed. If he gets caught out, he's got the speed. And we're talking about Werner against Chelsea. He had the speed to just get back, not be last ditch, Sophie. He just put his left leg out and blocked it. Look, he seems to be unflappable, Soph. And you know what, Sophie? I think this is the most impressive thing I've seen from him, Sophie, is his passing. His passing from the back is excellent. So, look, I know it's pre-season. We've waited a long time for this, Sophie, haven't we? And we've had arguments about him.
We have.
But I know what you want and you know what I want. I just want him to fulfill that potential. And right now, his potential is unlimited. And
Super Kev, my argument was always, don't send him away, play him now. Like last season, play him now. And I understand what you're saying in the sense that last loan deal maybe even further elevated his play and his experience, and you talk about his passing. He broke records in Liga in terms of a defender with passing completions, I believe that it was. And yes, I hear many of you in chat, 600 of you here in chat. By the way, Tammy, Chief Like Officer, you're on the clock right there.
The likes. Come on, everybody. Come on. Thank you for joining us.
He hasn't played against or in a Premier League full-on game yet, Kev. So can you explain to me, especially if you're his teammate and you've seen him shine? Because personally, I think he was the best player other than Jesus. I felt like he was the quality that was on display undeniably in an almost silent assassin kind of way. Can you bridge the gap for me to the people who want to believe he can do it in the Premier League versus doing it in pre-season, Kev, and why we should have that faith?
I tell you how, Sophie. He played against some of the best players against Chelsea. Havertz, Werner, Sterling, Batshuayi came on. Nobody got anything. They got nothing. And obviously Gabriel goes to the ball. He just naturally doesn't need to be told. He knows exactly where to be. His positioning is very good. And as I said, he's got the speed and the physicality to get himself, if he ever gets caught out, he's got the speed and the athleticism and the power to rectify it. Sophie, you can only say what you see. And the eye test to me says, whenever Havertz has played against us before, he's caused us problems. And I know this is pre-season, but Havertz is still a world-class player, plays for a big German international. He's caused defenders major problems. Sophie, he was non-existent. These guys were non-existent. Gabriel's played against them. Ben White's played against them. I've never seen them so ineffective. Now Saliba's there. I just haven't.
Kev, can we also, because Thomas Tuchel, if any of you missed his press conference, I urge you to go and watch it, because he takes pre-season super seriously. If you're a top class manager like Ten Hag right now, he's taking pre-season super seriously because he's got to figure out, what is this team? What have I inherited? How do I need to shift gears, move the needle? Who do I need? Manchester City are going through a transitional period. They've given up Zinchenko to us and Jesus to us. They've given Sterling, and they've got new players coming in, and Haaland, who is potentially going to have a really big impact, but we don't know that, right? Liverpool have lost Mane. They've brought in Darwin Núñez, who, by the way, 3 weeks ago, everyone was taking the pee out of, and he scored 4 goals in the first half the other day. And then it's zip, right?
Yeah.
Even like Tottenham under Conte, they've brought in Bissouma. Kev, we're not going to sit here and say we liked him. We loved him. You've loved him. That's a great signing. Richarlison is going to be effective for them. So people have made moves. The pre-season, it may not. Everyone's like, no. It's part of how you form your team, fitness and everything. Super Kevin. We're not saying we're going to go on and win the league and whatever, but we are saying last preseason was awful. It was horrific. Yeah. And you can see the evolution in the team and how we're moving forward in a different direction. And Saliba also, Kev, let's be honest, he didn't play against chopped liver in Liga last season, did he?
No, but that's the whole point of that's why that extra year made the difference. Because he's got a bit of a reputation. So the teams he's playing against obviously want to test him. So the best players think, who's this young whippersnapper? So the better players want to test him to see how good he is. And he's got to prove it to Marseille and himself that he can cut it against them. And he looks the real deal.
Okay, so we're going to talk a little bit more about him We're going to have, as I said, next Monday, we're going to do our predictions. We're going to lay it all on the line. We're going to bring out last season's predictions as well. And we are definitely happy to have this guy back. We're loving this vibe that we're seeing. By the way, Odegaard against Chelsea. Wow, what a performance. Kev,
he needs a striker. Once he gets a striker,
you said it all season. You said it right. So let's talk about the next phase before we get stuck into some other nuts and bolts. He has risen, and he has risen in red and white. Mm-hmm. You have played up front for the Arsenal. Let me tell you something. What would you say if I said to you that Jesus reminds me of a hybrid Ian Wright, Kevin Campbell?
I think you'd be right. Whereas the hold-up play and the link play, Sophie, is Lacazette Mark II. Lacazette was good last season, but this guy's different class. And then you got the hunting for space and the devastating finishing and just harassing defenders. He's got that as well. He looks the complete striker, so he really does. And you know what? You know when you know that the striker is a real problem is when the opposition start kicking him.
Oh, they battered him, didn't they? They tried to.
Everton handed out some hefty treatment, and now Chelsea handed out some hefty treatment. That's when you know your game's on track, so where the opposition want to slow you down. I think he's been a breath of fresh air. I believe, so I hear in the background, since he's actually been at the club, his attitude, the way he is, has been a breath of fresh air to everybody. And
Correct.
You can see everybody's kind of together. Everybody celebrates together. Listen, we need that type of striker. He's a character. Leads by example. I think his pressing, his work rate, and his love for the position and his love to score. And do you know what, Sophie? He should be calling the Highbury Squad, this guy. He should be calling us. Even both of them should call us.
I love it. I mean, we'd love to get them on the other line because we've got a good connection here. There's no doubt about that. Archangel says he's more like Sanchez. Do you think he is, Kev?
You could say that because some of his movements, etc. But Sanchez isn't a number 9. This guy's a number 9. Really.
Yeah.
This guy's a number 9. Although, his comparison to Sanchez because Jesus can play wide and he can drift out there, etc. But I think as that number 9, he's got that number 9 shirt. I think we're going to really see him at the cutting edge, top end of the pitch. But you know what? He makes us better because defenders have to account for him. Defenders didn't really have to account for Lacazette on long periods last season. Mm-hmm. This guy, though, 2 players have to account for this guy. So what does that do? That leaves Martinelli's and Yasakas and all these others. Look, you see Odegaard get into the box and be able to fire off a shot into the corner nicely. That's it, Jesus. Stick your tongue out and give it up. Yes.
Kev, the other thing, this guy was number 1 on my shopping list. How good was he?
So I think he trained once with the team.
Yep.
He comes in there. He looks like he's been playing in the team for 5 years. Good player, good attitude, fit, smart, technically gifted. Sophie, we've got no problems at fullback. We've got no problems. And I know people say, Ben White's not a footballer, but Ben White can do a job.
I thought Ben White did a great job against Chelsea, Kev.
Yeah, I think so too. But, there's people, Ben White going forward. No, we don't. We've got Saka there. Let Saka do the business. Do you know what? What we've got to do, I think we discussed this last week, so we've got to get them defeats down to single digits.
Yeah.
And we've got to win games. We've got to win more games. We do that, Sophie. We are in business.
You've been really clear about that. You said 13 Was it 13 or 14 last
13,
year?
13,
13, Kev.
13 defeats.
You get that down to 7.
Oh.
Right?
Yes.
And by the way, Swedish Gooner, well said. He did have Sterling in his pocket. And I know it was only pre-season. And I'm really tired of Ben White just getting shat on all the time. Like,
Big
stop
time.
the madness, man. He can play in that position. He can play CB. He can play midfield. He's a good player. And Saliba and unfortunately Ben White has always been tainted with the, well, we want William. We want him. It's got nothing to do with Ben White's capability. And his price tag has only got to do with the fact that he's an English player and that's the UK market, right? Saliba could end up being a £200 million player. We don't know until he plays in the Premier League consistently. Also, Kev, I feel like people have always said it's going to be Ben White versus Saliba, right? And, you know, who's going to prevail, who's going to be Gabriel's partner. But we don't know what's happening with Tomiyasu right now and his injury. And we have no idea in regards to his progression and what's going to happen in that regard. But if you were going to start the Crystal Palace game with that side, with Ben White, Gabriel, Saliba, Zinchenko, Partey, Xhaka. Wait, should I stop?
No, I'm doing that because you sold it to me already. So you sold it to me. The team that started against Chelsea, if that's the first game, that's the starting 11 for the first game of the season, I'm happy. There, I said it. I'm happy. Could we get more in? Of course we could get more in. But if that team started, Sophie, I'll be happy.
Okay, so we need to bring Vinny out, apparently, because we've got 750 of you in live chat tonight. 750 here with the legend that is Super Kevin Campbell. Soak him up. He's got 3 teams now in the Premier League. He's going to be very busy this coming season.
Sophie, I'm telling you, there's got a lot of work that's coming. I'm telling you. Trust me, there's a lot of work.
Go on, Vinny. Please hit the like button.
Salute and hit the like. Come on, guys.
That'd be brilliant. So Kev, let's step back a little bit here, right? So we've got all this good stuff happening, but I wanted to bring this up with you real quick before we talk about Adu, who I felt like was very Michael Corleone in his interview today. Where is my pick? Hold on one second. I will find it right here. I'm not sure. Did I upload it? No, I didn't. That's a bummer. So, Kev, we've seen the first half versus the second half in these pre-seasons. Yeah. Second half, we can see what isn't working.
Yeah,
what's going to...
Do you know what? Can I just say this, Soph?
Yeah.
Sometimes when you play the weaker team in the first half...
Found it.
Yeah, great. And some of these players, as you know, it's just a matter of keeping them fit to get rid of them, Sophie, because at the end of the day, who wants to sign a player and then have to get him fit? Do you understand? If you're going to sell him, you got to be. If you're going to sell some of these guys, you got to be smart. You got to keep them fit, and then people buy them, and then they can slot straight into wherever they're going. So,
let me ask you this.
What
would you say if I said to you that a lot of people said that playing Mari and Bellerin and Maitland-Niles and Pepe didn't really do anything for market value, Kev? I think Reece Nelson is the one that I would definitely keep. Leno looks like he's heading to Fulham. But the others, Torreira didn't really feature, of course. But do you agree that the market would? Tell me.
Oh, hold on a minute. If people are talking about market value in pre-season, they shouldn't be talking. They should not be talking, because that tells me they do not understand football. Market value of a player is not going to go up in pre-season who's going to be looking to leave the club. The key is to get them fit. Because if you're going to move them on, Sophie, the club that's taking them wants a fit player. If you don't play them, Why would a team go for them?
Okay, so this is the part of where I want to get onto Edu and his interview, which was inspiring, I think, for a lot of Arsenal fans, Kev. But also, when you look at the potential, is it 7 or 8 million for Leno? My goodness. You know, what we gave away, Mavropanos, you know, his figure, Guendouzi, his figure. Can you talk me through that a little bit too, kind of understanding contracts and the situation? Because I understand he's talking about we had to get rid of, almost like a fire sale. Sometimes giving away players for free is actually you're making ROI. Can you talk me through that a little bit? Because I don't think, for example, we got optimal money for those 3 players in particular.
But you're not going to get optimal money. This is the problem. This has been the Arsenal disease. It's been on some other clubs as well, by the way. But it's really been an Arsenal disease because Arsenal are not at the top. Arsenal at the top, these guys, everybody wants these guys, Sophie. That's when you see when Arsenal are at the top, everybody's clamoring to get these players. But when you're not at the top and they know you need to get them out,
right?
He's 15 million. You know what? I'll offer 5.
So
don't care because they know.
Yeah, I understand that. And I think we missed the boat a little bit, maybe maximizing Maitland-Niles' value. I think you would agree with me on that, right?
Yeah, but remember, we said we think he could do a job.
A hybrid player. He could step in, play right back, centre back, midfield.
And you know what, Sophie? He probably still could do a job if his head's in the right spot. But it seems as though now, do you remember we talked about when we're starting to bring in level players of winners, we ain't got time. We ain't got time to be waiting on Maitland-Niles to find out if his brain's in the right place. Because when you're at Arsenal, your brain has to be in the right place now. That's the difference.
So if you're Edu and you're looking at Pepe's Instagram post, of course, went viral. Everyone's talking about him being committed. He changed his agents in the summer. Kev, are the club still looking to move Pepe on, do you think? There's talk about a loan deal. There was talk about Leeds, Newcastle. There's some other clubs, Sevilla, interested in him as well. What's your take on Pepe? 72 million record-breaking purchase for us. What do you do? Because there's a juxtaposition too in terms of what Mikel might think he can still use him for versus what Edu might want to do from a business perspective.
Sophie, I've always said the talent level, the talent it cannot be questioned. We know Pepe is a talented player. But you know what is the big problem, Sophie? How all of a sudden is it now is different now? Because he's changed agents. You're playing for Arsenal. Your attitude and everything should be right from day one. This is the problem. This is why these players will have to leave.
Would you want him to leave, Kev? Do you want to wipe that slate clean?
I think he's got to. Because, Sophie, and no disrespect, we've seen him come in and influence some games last season. We've seen him influence games the season before. But, Sophie, the attitude is the thing that gets questioned all the time.
Mm-hmm.
That's why Saka has run away with that position. Saka's attitude, Saka might not be having the greatest game, Sophie, but I tell you what, Saka's attitude, he always tries to work, he always tries to get back, he always tries something. Pepe now has just virtually said to everybody that I'll pull my socks up now. It's too late. We shouldn't be hearing that at Arsenal. He should be saying, listen, I've tried everything and I'm still willing to try everything to get in this time. But we don't hear that, oh, things are going to change because I've changed it. No, unfortunately, Pepe. And listen, I love your ability, but we need it every week, every day. I'd trade some of that ability for heart any day of the week.
Yeah. What, Kev? The only time I've seen heart from him is in our FA Cup run when Mikel
he was unbelievable.
took over.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's talk about, wow, we've been talking for 50 minutes already, you guys.
It's 25. It's 25.
It's 25. We've got Super Kev here. You're listening to the Highbury Squad. Tammy, you're right. $2.99 with 840 in live chat.
That ain't good enough. Oh, come on, Pete.
I'm gonna get the Brock out. This is vintage, by the way. This will never change.
Rock them up. No, come on, people. Come on. Only 299 likes. You know, on air we operate at minimum 50%. So, come on, guys. Come on.
Do it.
Sophie, I'm gonna have to miss some Mondays if we don't get it.
No. See, now you're hurting me, people.
Giving up my time to come on to only 800 watching and 299 likes. Come on.
Gunnar Russ, do you have your cup of tea? Eh? Has Gunnar Russ got his cup of tea, Kev?
Hey, and by the way, Gunnar Russ, here's a question for you. Are you happy? Are you quietly happy?
Kev, do you think a lot of Arsenal fans get a clean slate for this year if they've been critical? Because I've been critical of Arteta. I've always said that Edu doesn't get the credit he deserves. So we're going to shift into that a little bit, because I feel that with the interview that he gave today, or that aired today, that has gone viral today, I think underlines that he's the boss. Arteta runs the team, but Edu is the boss. Can you talk me through it a little bit? Because when I listened to him and I heard what he was saying, of course, there's some PR spin stuff in there. I felt less than last year. I feel like maybe he covered himself a little bit on you starting with youth and now we're getting experience. Even though some people may think that Zinchenko and Jesus are still only 25 years old, it's like, stop the madness, man. Look at what they've won. Look where they've played.
Well, the experience is in the playing, isn't it? You've got to win the trophies. You've got to play. You've got to have been through the fire. And these guys have been through the fire, been through the fire. Although they're young, they've been incredible. They're winners.
So what was your take on the interview? I felt like this one was less trying to convince me versus him coming out and saying, listen, mofos, this is what I've been doing. And here's where he hooked me with, I think he's the boss, the Don of Arsenal's business. When he talked about identifying it wasn't working under Emery, whether I agree with that or not in terms of what they gave Emery in terms of resources, but his explanation of not having an identity and wanting to change it right away, and someone saying, whoa, we don't do that at Arsenal Football Club. We don't sack managers halfway through the season. The last time we sacked the manager was it Bruce Rioch?
Yeah.
So I felt like that statement that he made was the most significant to me, that this process started even before Arteta got there. Talk me through it, Kev.
Yeah, of course. I think he had to be the boss at that point. And I think the fact that he'd played for Arsenal, been successful at Arsenal, he's an invincible. He probably looked at it, and it's not saying that Unai Emery isn't a capable manager, because we know he's a really good manager. But I think the way football was going, Sophie, and looking at the personnel we had good players, we had a decent team, but I don't think it was sustainable to get to the top. I don't think it was, because we were still going to the top six and we were still getting battered at times. And something had to change. So at that time, I think, yes, he was the Don and he kind of influenced to get it changed. But I think bringing Mikel in, them two, as he quite rightly said, they work hand in hand. There's no player who comes into the building if Mikel Arteta hasn't said yes. So they have that great working relationship. And do you know what? We've had bump in the road We've had bumps in the road, Sophie, haven't we? We've seen players like a Willian and David Luiz come in, and they've split the fan base sometimes, etc. But that was just to get some experience in. Now we're on this journey, Project Youth sort of thing. He said, remember that he done an interview start of last season.
Yes.
Saying that we're going to buy the youngsters and then we're going to bring the experienced players in. Well, that's what he's doing. He's bringing experienced players in. And as they quite rightly said, they are not finished yet. They've got to be flexible. And it's not just about qualifying for Champions League. They've got to look beyond that. Because you know what, Sophie? We need Arsenal back where we know we should be. It's been painful, Soph, isn't it? When we're coming on and speaking of an evening after game, post-match, and we've got beat by some muggy team, and we're losing our heads and people are upset. We want levels. There's levels to Arsenal, and we need to get back to that top level. Yeah, we do not have a divine right to win. But you know what, Sophie? We have a divine right to expect the team to compete.
We definitely do. This was an interesting, also, Kev, when we talk about a lot, and you also kind of try to explain to me sometimes, and, the impatience of a fan versus kind of seeing it and understanding it from being in a position as a player who's been, transferred and stuff, where he talked about Zinchenko. He goes, we're so excited to have Zinchenko with us because he's a player that we really targeted. He's a player that we really believe has the characteristics and the qualities that are going to increase our level. The Zinchenko transfer was planned 6 months ago to feed that position in the best possible way in which Mikel really wants to play. Mikel, of course, knows him more than anyone because they work together at Manchester City, but all the information around the player is top. Not only about his qualities as a footballer, but as a person. You and I have talked a lot about Guendouzi goes, not character that they want at Arsenal. Saliba goes, build your character. We believe in you. Character is a huge part of it. I said that the reason why Saliba is not coming back this season is because Mikel still has an issue with the character building versus the talent. And I think I do underline that in this interview, Kev.
Mm-hmm. Because I think a part of it was, have you spoke to players who didn't have the right attitude to play for us? And he said, yes. Didn't he? He said, yes, we did. And they're not for Arsenal. Because you know what, Sophie? To be successful at Arsenal, you have to have a certain character. You have to.
Tell us about that, because you were taught that from a young age, even then.
Yeah, but you see, I'm lucky. The lads who came through the ranks are lucky because we had the likes of Pat Rice and these guys draw the answer to help us understand what it takes to be a part. When your heart beats Arsenal. So
yes,
you're already fully in. You're like a fan being on the pitch. That's why everybody could resonate to that team or those teams at that time, because it was like the fan was out there. Because so many of the boys had come through the ranks, everybody felt the same for Arsenal, and it was always that connection was there. But modern football, very rarely you see a lot of that.
Mm-hmm.
Modern football, that has to be built. We've seen Pep Guardiola build it at City. We've seen Jurgen Klopp build it at Liverpool. We've seen other teams build a little less, and then there's Arsenal. Why do you reckon, Sophie? And it's no coincidence. Why do you reckon we've had all these lovely players, but we've always been just off the pace mostly?
Mm-hmm.
Because the attitude and the mentality and the togetherness, everything is not right. It's not right. that mindset, that Arsenal toughness, roll your sleeves up, where, okay, we ain't playing well, but you know what? We'll take this 1-0, so. That is an Arsenal trait. Invincibles had it in abundance. And look how gifted they were. But do you remember when they had to dig in, they would dig in, so. This is where we're getting to. And I'm not saying we're there yet, but that comes with adding winners with the winning mentality. And it's no slight at Guendouzi or anything, because Guendouzi, again, another talented player. All of these players are talented. But Sophie, if you're going to have to battle people in your own dressing room, it's not going to work.
And Kev, you bring that up at a point where I wanted to tap into what Edu was saying about having the wrong players at the club, the wrong players in the dressing room. He was asked about, have you met players that are not right for the Arsenal? And he says, yes, for sure. The reason to meet players, to meet the families and talk to the agents, of course, is they have to understand us, but also we have to understand them. If they fit the model, then that's okay. We carry on. But he also talked very honestly about moving players on and how that part was very difficult, but in the end, it was a must. Whether or not they lost money or not, he saw it as ROI. Kev, can you just tap on that real quick? Because that, in terms of his job, must have been the toughest part, with the removal of the players that had been there that weren't delivering for a while.
Yeah, Sophie, the truth and the fact of the matter is, that's the hardest part of the business. Is recognizing players that have talent but probably don't fit what you're doing, don't fit the model, and then you've got to try and get maximum money, but you need to get them out of your football club. So opposition teams realize, I know there's change at Arsenal, so we'll be able to hang on in there to get them cheap. And remember, we done a couple of shows saying, which Arsenal having to pay players to leave. Why are they having to pay them, Sophie? They're having to pay these players to leave because the players haven't been good enough. If the players were good enough and other teams recognize that, they would take them. And you know what, Sophie? There might be another round of that coming. When you put that picture up, and I'm looking at some of those faces there, I don't think we're going to get top dollar for any one of them. Anyone.
No. I mean, Bellerin wants to go to Spain. No one wants Bellerin, and Spain
they want him,
they can't afford him.
Exactly. They want him. They want him for free.
Yeah. Yeah, and we've done enough of the free stuff, you know. Kev, can we shift gears into a little bit more of the relationship that he's talking about with Mikel? But before we get there, because I think we understand that you said as well, they make the decisions together. He was very clear and adamant that he doesn't sign a player without Mikel's sign-off. Some managers, Kev, do not have that luxury, do they?
Yep, and you know what, Sophie? Usually at those clubs are not successful.
Right.
If a club are signing players and they're not your players, that's a recipe. That could be a recipe for disaster. At Arsenal, we were signing players that did not fit our model, but they were decent players. So it was a jigsaw and a mashing together of cultures and mindsets, and it didn't work. Yeah, you're playing for the Arsenal and you're good. But Sophie, to win, you've got to be of a certain mindset. The great thing that Arsene Wenger done, Sophie, and you know what? This squaddies, you tell me if I'm wrong. We signed Bergkamp. Bergkamp was having a torrid time at Inter Milan.
Before Wenger came, by the way. We signed him the season before.
I'm just saying, of that type of player.
Yeah.
He was having a torrid time at Inter Milan.
Yeah.
David Platt came in, who was a decent player. But the likes of Thierry Henry, Vieira, Petri, and all these guys, they weren't world-class players.
Thierry was struggling big time before he came.
A lot of these guys weren't world-class players.
No,
Sophie.
Pires, Freddie, yeah.
But what happened when they got to the Arsenal? They all came together. They all improved together. And then you could reel them off, Sophie. World class, world class, world class, world class. Everybody playing together, excelling, which was fantastic. So we kind of helped them develop and built them into these players, household names, which grew the Arsenal name around the world. Special team, special players, but also a special mindset. And that's what we are trying to get back to. And you know what? Bringing winners in like Zinchenko and Jesus. And by the way, Zinchenko is good pals with Jesus, funnily enough.
And for me, the Zinchenko and Jesus signing is, what have Arsenal lacked? We've been so talented over the years, but what have we lacked? That mental prowess. We've suffered a little from mental impotence over the years. Kev will tell you, standing in the tunnel at Highbury, they look across, teams knew that they were in for trouble.
No, you beat.
you
Sophie, truth. You're in the tunnel and you look across and you just know. You know they're done.
And I think we're rebuilding the DNA. We spoke a lot about that last season, the rebuild of the DNA, the rebuild of the profile, Kev. And you and I did a show last season where we got a lot of stick for, and we also got a lot of understanding for. And that was when we had the debate on the Cronkies. So my message to Arsenal fans is, whether you criticised Wenger and wanted him out, whether you criticised Emery and wanted him out, whether you criticised Arteta and wanted him out, whether you vilified the owners or made them the scapegoats for everything and wanted them out. Same energy for each argument. Kev, the owners have really given Edu and Arteta the keys to the kingdom, have they not? Now, I'm not saying they're perfect. I'm not saying they've done all the right things. But last year, we were the club that spent the most in Europe. And so far this season, we've spent 115 million, more than anyone in the Premier League. What are your thoughts on people who still question whether the owners want the Arsenal to succeed?
I think the questioning comes from the past. If we're honest, the questioning always will come from the past. But you know what, Sophie? The proof is always in the pudding. The Cronkies are showing that they're willing to back the manager. We discussed it last season. Will they back him? We're going to find out. They're backing him. They're backing their dude.
That was your biggest question, Kev.
That was the biggest question. Will they back him? And it's great to hear Edu say, we're not done. We are not done. And we have to be open for anything to happen. I like the fact that they may be looking at Gakpo. You know,
Gakpo,
Gakpo, we're still getting linked with Sane. You know, Tielemans is still on the board. You know, Paqueta is still on the board. I'd like, do you know what, Sophie? Being greedy as I am,
why not?
I'd like to see 3 of them come in.
Do you still think we're 2 players short, like Byron asks, Kev? Do you, in order for that promised land?
Yeah, I do. I still think we're a central midfielder and a wide player short of having a decent squad, a very good squad. We get 3 or 4, Soph. Now we're really in business, because that bench is super strong. And I mean super strong. It's so strong to the point that we might even have a couple of lads in tracksuits in the stand who can't get in the squad.
That's what you want.
So when it comes to training, you play on a Saturday, Sophie, and you've got a Europa League game on the Thursday. The ones who were sat in the stand know I'm going to get my chance. Put up or shut up time.
And Kev, some fans forget we have European football adds a whole other level into the mix, and it's Europa League is tough. You go to obscure places. Fans love it because they get to see different countries and cities that they may never have seen before. And that's the beautiful thing about playing in Europe. But it's not going to be easy in terms of, even for Arteta, this is another learning curve for him as a manager, Kev, because he's come in, he had it at the beginning. He had Europa League, but in an entire season,
But he knows, Soph. He knows he's gone through a season with Europa and not having the squad with interchangeable pieces.
That's what I was going to say. He's had an entire season with weak links in a lot of different positions. Yeah. And I think now, understanding he's got 5 subs in the Premier League, he's got another season in Europe. He's probably, and I'm hoping, has learned from the massive mistakes that we made, especially in that semi-final. But just to kind of arc the ownership, this is what Edu said, not only with the spending, because they asked him about the owners, and the question about the owners was, you were with the owners on Wednesday. How supportive have they been with the spending? By the way, Stan showed up, Josh showed up. Our good friend Aston got to speak to Josh and Stan. Everyone wanted the owners to be present. Everyone's wanted them, and they were. I think the our owners were more present than the LA Dodgers Chelsea owner on this US tour. And I do said not only with the spending, because it's unfair to link the owners just with spending, but they're very much an important part. And it's sometimes unfair if people have doubts over our owners. They are very engaged, they're really supportive, and they're really present in the club, which makes them feel comfortable. They've given Edu and Arteta the authority, I think, to be front facing. They don't want to be in the media all the time, Kev. And a lot of business owners just don't want to be, do they?
No.
Not everyone is Elon Musk.
No, they don't. And I think that's the right way to do it. Look, they've proven with the LA Rams and Denver and all this that they've.
And the Avalanche, they won the Stanley Cup this year. They won. Yeah,
they want to win. So if they're involved, they want to win. Now, you said earlier on that there's some people who still will be on the fence and blah blah blah. The key to it also is winning. That's the key to everything. If you win, then people's hard hearts will soften towards the owners, because do you know what? Nothing is better than winning. So
Edu said that, and this is where I want to arc the interview, because a lot of people keep talking about top four, but you're talking about a man who's now in charge of bringing the talent into our club, who was part of this. And Kev, he was adamant, and he threw the F-bomb left, right, and center.
I like it.
He's like, win.
Sophie, here's a question for all the squaddies. What do you win if you qualify, if you finish top 4? What do you win? Nothing.
Tottenham will tell you nothing, because it's bare and empty.
So, but this is the thing. Tottenham qualified for the Champions League, like they have done a few seasons, etc. But they're not winners. To win trophies changes you as a person. And it changes the group. That's why always for me it's silverware over position. Do I want to win the league? Of course I want to win the league, Sophie. Of course I do. But if it's out of winning the Europa League, of finishing in the top 4, I'd take winning the Europa League, because you know what? 1, you qualify for the Champions League. 2, your team and your squad know how to win. It is so important they learn how to be winners, because once you get to be winners, Sophie, you want more.
So do you think I was do you think I was crazy when I said to our friend Jordan Jarrett Bryant that he's like, if you finish 8th and win Europa League, it's a failure. No. Sorry.
It's not.
I personally would take winning the Europa League all day. To me, that is the goal next season, to win. The last time we won it, Kev, was when you were playing. Tell everyone, when you won that European title, when you won it, what happened to you as a player?
Sophie, what you got to remember is the key to my group at that time, it was overcoming at the beginning a buoyant Merseyside. Liverpool and Everton were the teams. So you overcome Everton, and then you got the big boss at the end, Liverpool. You overcome them. Then it was cups, to win some silverware. We won 2 cups. We won the League Cup and the FA Cup in the same year. Brilliant. You're feeding that taste of winning. Then you get into the Cup Winners' Cup. And then it's how many teams, how many Arsenal sides have actually won in Europe?
You're the last one.
The Invincibles couldn't do it.
They couldn't. And they couldn't get back there either.
But and we're not just talking Champions League. We're talking UEFA Cup or whatever as well.
Right.
To win is hard. Because you go into places, you're traveling, there's this, that, the other, and there's a lot of moving parts. You've got your league form to look after. And that's why eighth and a Europa Cup is a throwaway comment, because Sophie, what we're building is a consistent team.
Mm-hmm.
So 8th is regressing in the league. We might not win it, Soph, but just to throw away, what if we finish 8th? What if we don't? Do you know what I mean? What if we don't?
Right.
So that's too easy to say 8th.
Right.
But what we've got to do and what we've got to get across to the players, I think they feel it. They felt poor at the back end of the last season because they felt they let everybody down. I think that's going to refocus them, and they seem to be determined. But us fans, I'm a fan now with a bit of experience, thank God. We have to remember it's about winning. It's about winning trophies. It's about winning medals. It's about, remember all them FA Cups we won, and you think it's just normal. It isn't normal. There's clubs out there that would swap 20 years for one of our trophies. 20 years, 30 years for one. And we just take it, we've won 14 FA Cups, it's big. Because, when you get the team sheet, the team picture, and you've got those trophies in front of you, that's because of all the hard work, and that shows who are the winners. Qualified for Champions League, you got nothing in front. What have you won? You win nothing.
To be honest with you, Kev, I am forever saying to people, we won 4 FA Cups in our supposed darkest years.
Yes.
Our darkest years. To me, I always said, you finish 4th, you get into the Champions League, but you win the FA Cup, you get into Europa League, which is a chance to get into the Champions League. It's a vehicle, it's a route.
Yeah.
But to win and to hold, that's what the memories are. Yes, we finished 4th for 21 years under Wenger, right? But he won perennial cups too in those years, right? As a fan, I've always been, I want to win stuff. And that's what separates us between, and good evening to all of our Spurs listeners in the house. We always love to welcome you. That's what always separates us from you. We had Anthony Costa from Blue on the show when we did our Football Frenemies episode last week. And his answer this season, Kev, was, we got to win a trophy. He goes, we've got to win a trophy. That's it. Danny D, don't go for 4th. Come on. Everyone goes for top 4. But that's not the be all and end all for clubs who have a DNA and a culture of winning. of holding silverware aloft,
But their
polishing.
culture, Spurs culture isn't winning.
No,
Spurs culture, if we're honest, is trying to finish above us in the league.
correct.
That's what their culture is.
And
And I'm not being disrespectful. Our culture is about winning trophies. Now, what they want to do now, they've got another manager, world-class manager in. They've got to try and turn that around to win silverware.
And he's been a lifelong fan. And he said, and I quote, "We've got to win. I just want to win a trophy." He doesn't care if it's the Carling Cup. It's not called that anymore, is it? The Carling Cup.
Well, let's say the League Cup. It does
The
Carabao. It's the Carabao Cup. But yeah.
He wants to win the
trophy.
Littlewoods Cup.
Littlewoods Coca-Cola Cup. Look, silverware, Sophie. Silverware is so important. So important. Because everybody, the mindset in once you get that taste, you never want to lose it. Never.
Which is why we're so salty now.
Exactly.
This is, if people want to understand why Arsenal fans have a meltdown and are so salty, it's because of this and this. It's because of those moments. It's because of this and this. It's because of these moments. This is what makes our club so special. Not only are we a great club, but we are a club that has won. Kev's lived it and breathed it. So I get why some fans, Kev, lose their marbles.
100%, Sophie. And, our analogy is when you want to, you get used to living at the Dorchester. You get used to being at the Savoy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And eating the best. And then the finest Egyptian cotton, on your body when you go to bed. The nice sunken bath, big bath, you could chill out. And then when you go to what do you call it?
The roadside motel, the Hojos.
Motel, with the Hojos and the hobos, and it's not nice. You've got a vending machine for food. It's not nice.
It's not. It's miserable.
It's horrible, in fact. It's horrible. But do you know what? We've got to build to get back there. And do you know what? When we do get there and when we do win trophies, I think we've said this to the squaddies. Make sure you enjoy it. Even if it's a Carabao Cup, the League Cup, enjoy every bit of silverware because it's hard to win.
And Kev, you said it brilliantly. Our invincible squad, which was probably one of the best English football's ever seen. They couldn't get back there. They tried many times. They got there, couldn't get back there. Then the team went into transition. Other sports too. Dan Marino, one of the greatest, quarterbacks of all time. One time thought we'd get back there, never got back there ever again. Aaron Rodgers still can't get back there. Won it once, but people call him the greatest.
He's unbelievable, but can't get back.
No.
Because it's that hard. But Sophie, I just want to say to squaddies, some know this, some don't. Look at the Arsenal team, 11 and subs, who won the Cup Winners' Cup. You just look at that side. No Ian Wright, no John Jensen, no Martin Keown. You look at who wasn't part of that squad, but who played. And again, sometimes when it's not going your way, you got to roll them up and you got to dig in. Winning is in our, Elliot Roberts said it right, winning is in our DNA. And you find that when you're a winner, you find a way. And that's where this football club and Edu and Mikel want to take this club. We've got to get back to that winning mentality. Fans have it, although we lose it a little bit when we're at the roadside motel. Of course you do. We want to pick the phone up and all of a sudden call and they roll in the tray into the room and putting the wings out and the hot food is under the thing. It's lovely, isn't it? And they putting all the lovely silver, not going to a vending machine.
Exactly. Brilliant stuff. Wow, what a show. 1 hour
Any questions? Any
24.
questions
You want to stay for a few questions?
We might as well round up till half.
Okay.
Hold on. Let's find out what the likes are.
Well, we have 870. Chief Like Officer Tammy, please do send your report. Her backup Guna Russ is in the house as well. Don't mistake Guna Russ. Don't mistake Guna Russ for Guna Rose. Guna Rose is a lot more sophisticated, by the way. Danny will allow it, but not.
Go on, Danny. Go on.
Spurs won a KFC Cup, says Don Arsenal. I love it. Kev overtime. Yeah. Okay. 468, says Guna Russ.
Oh, we like that.
Ooh, not too bad.
I tell you what, get it to 500 and we're cooking.
Okay. All right. Getting a couple questions for Super Kev. Let's see. What do you call 5 Tottenham fans standing ear to ear? That just didn't check the Matty K. Okay. Kev, please, any updates on Yuri, Cody, Paqueta? How many players do you think we could get in? Leroy Sane, they're talking about. Kev, I
honestly think we're going to do 2 more bits of business. I do. I think Tielemans, I think that's a deal to be done. And I honestly think a wide player is going to come in. And if obviously a deal could be done for Sane, I think we'll get Sane because Mikel Arteta's worked with him before. He knows how devastating he can be. If not, I think Gakpo's a good size as well. I think he will come in and that would be some really good business.
Kev, what's more important, bringing in 2 new players or re-signing Saka and Saliba?
Oh, so they're already in our building, so we're gonna sign them. So trust
you
me,
reckon?
We're gonna. I know, Sophie. Sophie, you don't come out and you don't be buying Jesus and Zinchenko and all that if you're gonna let Saliba and Saka run their contracts down. It don't make sense.
Okay, South London's finest. Hey. What's your opinion on Tierney? He looked dejected on tour. Do you think his place is under pressure?
100%. South London's finest, B. Of course his place is under pressure, but that's what we want. We want players who fret when they're not in the team. That's what being a top team is all about. And here's the funny thing when we mention that. Tierney will look dejected because he knows what it takes to win because he's been a winner in his career. Zinchenko comes in and looks like he's just fitted straight into the Arsenal team. Looks like he's never been away from the football club. And he was a gooner as a kid.
I know, I love that picture. It's perfect.
And it was the Invincibles who we loved. So
yeah. Say what you want about Arsene Wenger, but he did create a legacy that made players
around the world love the way Arsenal played.
Absolutely.
But you know something, Sophie? Here's the funny thing that people sometimes will look to criticize Ben White playing fullback. Let me just remind people of this. At Manchester City last season, did we or did we not see their centre half playing fullback? I'm only saying. And he's known as probably a couple of seasons he's been the main centre half.
Mm-hmm.
But he played fullback. Why? To get him through a tough time. Stones played fullback as well to get him through a tough time. But that never stopped their trajectory because they've got enough going forward. So I think, look, let's stop the disrespect of Ben White. I think Ben White, the fact that we are signing flexible players, so is key.
It's very different to square pegs, round holes versus flexibility and versatility.
Yes.
It's different playing
Square peg, round holes don't
Xhaka
fit.
as a square peg, round hole left back. Versatility is totally different, Kev.
Versatility is totally different. You know, versatility to me, like Zinchenko, Ben White. I mean, Saka can do it as well. These guys are they're capable of playing each position as well as the other.
Right.
So that's not square peg round hole. That's
Right.
versatility, flexibility. That's brilliant for the club. In midfield, we're starting to get players who maybe can play in a few different positions. That's going to be important because you know what, Sophie? Come near the end of the season where we hope we're going on full steam on all fronts. This is where that flexibility is going to matter because we will get injuries. We will have to change the team.
Yeah.
But we still need that level of consistency.
And we're playing, Kev, in 2 domestic cups, Premier League and Europa League as well. So, yeah. And Matty K, keep the jokes coming. They're very funny. And Don One, I think you asked, Jess and I are doing our next. We've done 2 already. We'll be doing another one this week as well. So keep your eye out for that. Thanks for asking. Mark. Hello, Mark. How you doing? Super Kev, do you think the Amazon dock will be an unwelcome distraction for the team this season?
No, I don't think so. I think the team. Mark, I would love to be able to say to you, the team are fully grown up now, and I think that pain of the way it ended last season might just make them grow up faster.
Yeah. Something tells me it's not going to be a meltdown. Ugo Chukwu, welcome back. Kev, a lot of people are talking about a wide player, and I think he asks a really good question here. Right or left?
Anywhere could play right or left. Remember, Jesus can play. Thing is, if you sign a Gakpo could play left, usually starts on the left. He can play right, he can play left, he can play centre forward. Jesus can play left or right or centre forward. Saka can play right or left. So Gabriel Martinelli could play left.
He can play left. He can play and right. Middle.
And middle.
Yep. Mm-hmm.
So again, we're having the interchangeable pieces, so considering, who we're playing, I suppose. So that's going to be important for us.
Okay, here's one for you from Guna Rose. I know your answer. Many of our listeners will be know it too. Are you still feeling that this is a yes, Kev? Do you think we need an extra striker? Is it changing your mind?
In a perfect world, yes. But I don't see Arsenal going for that right now, especially when they're going to probably want interchangeable pieces. One thing they're not going to do, I don't think they're going to compromise the way the team play. They believe in what they're doing. And whether they go from 4 at the back or 3 at the back, 5 at the back, whatever, I don't think Mikel Arteta is going to compromise the way they play. The key is having the personnel to be able to execute whoever we play against. That's going to be the key. I would love a big striker just in case. But I think a lot of us realise having a big striker would be good, but I just don't see Arsenal doing the business just yet.
You guys keep asking me about a fantasy Premier League. It takes so much work, and it's already busy. I don't know. Maybe not, Mark. We'll see. We'll see. We're definitely.
Sophie, why don't one of the squaddies do it?
Yeah, I'll back them. I'll put it all up. Yeah, let them do the work.
Mark, why don't you?
Mark,
do it
you
if
do
you
it.
Want to do it?
Yeah, and we'll support
Put it up.
Yeah. Oh, look who's back, Kev.
Hey, Newman, my predictions were better than yours.
Yeah, they certainly were.
Hey, tell you what, my predictions were better than your art as well.
Hope his art improves this season. There's no doubt about that.
No more art, please. No more.
Kev, do you think we're light in the keeper position? Is this a bit unfair on Turner at this point? Okay.
Yeah, we're not light in the keeper position.
A couple more quick ones for Kev. If we had a choice to sign Tielemans or Savic, who would you go for?
I'll have to say Tielemans right now because he's the one who's played. He knows the Premier League. He's the one for me. He could just go straight in.
I agree with that, Kev. Swedish Guna, always lovely seeing you in the house with 5 sub games. With 5 subs, games will change, and it will be much more on the managers. Kev, do you think Arteta has what it takes?
Of course he does. Of course he does. Of course he does. Yeah, you'll see. The key is having the personnel on the bench to be able to change things. That's the key. If you need to. Oh.
Cool. It's not Alex Ferguson's hairdryer you can hear. It's Tony's hairdryer that you can hear right now. Demsek, I think we answered this. Kev wants Pepe gone versus playing left, right, or...
Yeah, I just don't see Pepe having a future at Arsenal. I just don't.
Yeah. Okay, I think that's it for tonight. 1 hour, 35 minutes. Absolutely brilliant. We could go on and on. There's almost 900 of you in live chat. And the last thing we want to do is leave you when we have you, right? So what you can do for us, Kev, tell them.
So what are you saying then? Is it Sophie time now, is it? All right.
Well, maybe. Okay, so we got good. We got...
For another 5 minutes, come on, we do Sophie time.
All right, so Kev, I've been very critical of Arteta. And I think at times when I think it was very much deserved. But I feel like I'm in that middle ground where, yes, at the beginning of last season, I wanted him out and I wanted him gone. But also, as the season went on, when we got good results, I gave him credit where it was due. But I also felt like he made some fundamental mistakes. We talk about the growth of the team and the players. His growth this season is very important. Spent more than anyone last season. We're spending more than anyone so far this season. Is this, and we'll get stuck more into it in our predictions show next week. But right now, if you look at it, he's got to deliver something, doesn't he?
Of course. Listen, we were playing catch up for all these last couple of seasons. Now, there's no messing around now. This is where it's shit or bust. We've got to win. So we've got to win. No messing around. We have got to win. Mikel Arteta knows that, Sophie. The expectation level rises when you're bringing in the likes of Jesus, Zinchenko. When you look at Saliba playing so well beside Gabriel, it's win now. We've got to win. And to cement the work that they're doing is to make Arsenal successful. And for Arsenal to be successful, Soph, isn't finishing top 4, because that isn't success. That's just a step into the Champions League. We need silverware, Soph. That's what we need. And we need the squad to be able to challenge on all fronts.
And of course, the hope is that as you bring this team together, because one of the things I think people forget too, and as much as I hadn't loved what he's done over the last couple seasons, when you bring this team together and you see the chemistry and the camaraderie, Kev, from the US tour and the manager and them buying into it, the last thing you want is change, because change breeds more change, i.e., well, if I'm Jesus, do I want to stay without Arteta? You know, did I come for Edu? Yes, I signed because I love my Brazilian hero. But at the same time, you know, does Martinelli go because he has an affinity with the manager? That is a big deal, isn't it? Yeah. That's a huge deal.
It is. And I mean, more so now, I suppose, Sophie. More so now, players come because they've got a connection to the manager or somebody at the club. We're seeing it. You know, we questioned whether having Champions League football and not having Champions League football will make a big difference to our transfer policy. It hasn't really, has it? When you're getting 2 lads who have qualified year in, year out for the Champions League who want to come to Arsenal, that shows you Arsenal too still have pulling power, although they've worked with a manager before and that's a defining factor. But they still came. No Champions League. They're happy to play on a Thursday.
Kev, I put that question to you at the end of last season. If you can sign for Antonio Conte, who's won multiple things, has Harry Kane and Son and is in the Champions League, or you sign for Mikel Arteta at Arsenal, who are still rediscovering themselves and are in Europa League, who are you going to sign for?
Or Thomas Tuchel at Chelsea.
Or Thomas Tuchel. Can I just say that I think Sterling's a great signing. I think people who are whiffing on that are like crazy. I think he's so disrespected, Sterling. Seriously. I believe that we have had a better transfer window than Tottenham. Am I out of my mind?
No, you're not out of your mind at all. You're not. The funny thing about Spurs is there's only so many positions for them. The top end of the pitch, really. Will Richarlison play? I don't know. You got Harry Kane and Son. They're the two main boys at that. They're already in place. So we played 18 months really without a main man. It hurt us. We still had problems elsewhere. So it just goes to show. You know, when we finished last season, and it was disappointing at the end, but I tell you, the team made some strides to even be there, considering we had no number 9 who was scoring goals. We had nobody of note who you say, right, he's the one you got to think about. He's the one you've got to worry about. That wasn't Lacazette. Eddie came in and done okay at the end, but what did we have all season? If it weren't for Saka and Smith Rowe getting those goals from wide, chucking a bit of Martinelli in there as well, those youngsters have carried us. So Gabriel at the back coming up with some key goals. Them youngsters call me, Jesus, call me. But, you know, it just goes to show the team has made strides, so they have. And sometimes we're a bit critical because they fluff their lines at the end. But there's no messing around now, Sophie. We're bringing in the type of talent and the mentality and the winners that are supposed to, when we get to those big games where it matters, we're supposed to see the difference this season.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why we're bringing them in. That's why we probably need another couple.
Yeah, and that's why I agree. Like, depth-wise, we can see past a starting 11, maybe barring 2 on the bench, that we have, you know, difficulties. And Danny D, you can say what you want. You got Kane and Son. Of course, they're world-class players.
And nobody would disagree with that.
Nobody would disagree with that. But you lose one of them, and you've seen what happens to your team when you lose one of them. So, you know, you should be finishing above us with Kane and Son. Apparently, they're the greatest duo in the history of the Premier League. Anyway, Kev is spitting facts tonight. Big time.
So.
Yes, Super Kev.
And here's the thing. They have, what have they won?
What's that sign that he does? This? Yeah, there's no film in that. There's no winning film in that. You know? You've wasted the Kane and Son years. Wasted them. And there's no guarantee that you're going to win anything this year either. It's going to be harder and harder. They get all the plaudits. They get all the love. But they've won absolutely a big fat 0.
So, again, now Spurs fans are coming into the real world. Not we've qualified. You've done all that. What have you got to show for it?
And I asked Anthony, who's under more pressure, Arteta or Conte? He goes, Conte. Got to deliver a trophy. Big time. Has to. Arteta may even sign, he may survive another year.
Has he signed his new contract yet, so?
He might be out by Christmas.
Conte.
Wait, who are you telephoning? Jesus!
Call me Jesus.
Oh, great stuff. Super Kev, brilliant. On fire tonight. Lots of great compliments for you in the chat. guys who are listening on iTunes and Spotify and on replay. We hope you've enjoyed it as much as we did doing this live. To everyone in chat, you've smashed it tonight. Always the kindest community and some of the great conversations that you guys bring up. And to every opposing fan who comes in and joins us, we welcome you, and you're always welcome here to have your voice heard too. Super Kev.
So, has anyone seen Zidane?
No. Where is
I
Zidane?
wonder where Zidane is.
He's disappeared.
He disappeared. He's trying to convince Tielemans not to come to us.
Wow. Talk about a terrible transfer window. Leicester, what? Kev, Nottingham Forest, your old boys are doing a lot better.
They're buzzing at the moment. Hey, they're buzzing. And I'm so pleased for them. I'm so pleased.
I am. And I got to say, disrespect to Lingard. Why is everyone attacking him? Dude's on a free. Listen, the world we live in, the climate we live in, nothing's guaranteed anymore. Things are changing. He goes to Forest, he can earn X amount. You guys would go to another job if you were given a shit ton of money. Like, the hate for him is unreal. I just don't understand it. You know, just because he wants to have a little bit of fun on social media. What is that about? Just because he played X minutes. You know what? He's maximizing his opportunity in his position, right. Kev.
Good on him. And
yeah,
you know what?
Good on him.
One year is a prove it deal. It's World Cup year. He's going to play. He wants to make a difference. And he's with a manager who's done incredibly well to get Nottingham Forest to where they are. First time back in the big time for 23 years. Good on them, I say. Well done, Jesse. Good on them.
Totally. And West Ham could have had him. Yeah, could have had him. I can't wait. I mean, it's going to be great. Kev's got Arsenal, Everton, Nottingham Forest in the Premier League. He's going to be a busy man, but he will also, of course, be here on the Highbury squad during the season. Love Monday Madness with you, Super Kev. What do you want to leave the troops with this evening? I'm going to be back tomorrow night for the post-game show after England women versus Sweden in the Euro semi-final. What would you like to leave the squaddies with this evening?
I want to leave the squaddies with just the thought of belief. We've got to believe in these guys. We've got to believe that Mikel Arteta, Edu, and everybody, we're all going in the same direction, needs us fans in the same direction as well. We can question stuff, of course we can, but one thing we can't do, we don't want to trip ourselves up just for the sake of it. Let's keep it going in the same direction. And you know what? Let's go into the season. It's 2 weeks away. It's a Friday.
I can't believe it, Kev.
Come on. Time, Crystal Palace. And we never forget what they done to us last season. They helped us miss out on the Champions League. We got some payback, Patrick Vieira. But we love you, but we're coming for you. So, guys, always believe in what we're doing now. We're seeing the type of player come in who's going to make a difference.
And she would believe, Kev.
And listen, just a little thought for Maria and her family. You know, rest in eternal peace, Maria. God bless you, darling. And listen, if everyone could have a little bit of Maria in them for this season, I'm sure we'll be successful. So do you know what, Sophie? Thanks, Sophie, for the Monday Madness. Always a pleasure. Squaddies, thank you so much. Getting all the likes over 500, etc. Absolutely awesome. Tell your loved ones you love them. Tell the people you care for them. And Sophie, we'll see you tomorrow. At ease, squaddies. At ease.
Mind the gap between the train and the platform. Please stand clear of the discussion doors. The next stop is Highbury Squad.